Summer days, with mornings bright and cold, evenings warm and enveloping. But they don't remind me of times when I was happy. Golden light doesn't fall on my hair as it did when I was a child, or bathe my skin in diamonds. Instead, it reminds me of all the ways it used to be in this town, in this time, where I've been when the sun has been falling but removed to a different walk of life. Our story started out so different from the rest. Young and innocent would be the words to describe it, as we were both still terribly young in the great scheme of things. But innocent neither of us were. There we lay, two friends who had crossed an invisible bridge together and would be friends in the simplest form no longer. Our souls had always called to each other, and that night, not a special night in itself, our physical selves finally answered the questions we both had been asking of each other. But who can tell these moments that will change the most intimate core of who we are forever from the rest? There's no great flashing light, billboards leading you to the exit, but before you know it, you're being forced off your former path, brakes screeching in protest, but not doing much against the speed with which you are hurtling to your new destination. You asked to be here. You desired it, craved it, focused it so intently in your mind's eye that for 2 years it seemed to be all that you thought about, and when you finally had your prize, the bliss was intense, blinding and all-consuming, passion in its most beastly form. But I left my happy endings in my 6-year-old diary before the harsh smacks of reality brought me choking and gasping back to life, and my disillusionment slowly but surely started to seep into your peaceful mind, stirring and bubbling it until it reacted violently to this new state of turmoil and upset. I struggled day by day to bring the air back into my lungs, collapsing under the weight of years of abuse and insecurities. But before I could come up to breathe, you yourself began to drown, and I didn't have the strength by then to drag either of us to shore. Day by day we drowned together. When you love someone, it's hard to see through their faults, but some don't realize it can be even harder to forgive their shortcomings, embrace their cracks, and glue them together with soft kisses and calm words instead of being the one to make them crumble into dust. This is where we failed. And baby, did we fail so miserably. Is there a fault in something like this? Fault is such a dirty word, rife with flame and jealousy, anger and resentment. If there's anything I've learned, it's that fault is a twisty, slimy, backhanded, loaded word, an overly confusing thing, enforcing the petty nature of us mere humans, even egging it on into destruction. This monstrous ego we all carry on us, burdened from birth. But when fights became more frequent, blame was thrown like stones in our glass house, and soon, one by one, all our walls shattered and we became isolated, lonely, and left out in the cold. I couldn't feel your touch. Your love was dwindling as my heart grasped farther and farther for your affections. You drew them into yourself, and I starved. And I starved. Until one day I finally died. I remember that day, but only in pieces, only in broken parts. Do you even remember the way it happened? Did you fail to see the progression of our imminent descent, as we both insisted on fucking up the one good thing in our lives? Sometimes it feels dreamlike, feels nightmarish, until my hand grazes across your sleeping stomach and I feel your breath expanding in your lungs, until the sun rises in this new apartment, and I stretch out my hand and feel only cotton, cold and dead to the touch, until I realize that nothing smells like you anymore. And it's been so long that I've stopped finding your curly hairs tucked into all of my clothes and blankets, until I realize that I've never really woken up since you've been gone. A rush of air enters my mouth, exiting slowly. Black clouds and unfamiliar faces surround me, lights and sounds and fear, endless and choking fear. Hard, unfeeling hands with no memory of the gentle way you used to hold me. Injections, medications, desensitizations, cages, fear. More fear, shivering, quaking fear. More medications to quell the fear, more when those can't kill it. If only there was a pill with your name on it. You'd think I would have learned to live without you by now, but then you'd be wrong. I always used to believe that love was enough. When will you return to me?